So at this point, I have tried almost every single product from e.l.f. They have always been one of my top favorite brands for years and years, ever since they used to sell their $1 line and their $3 line. And when they launch new products, I'm just curious to try them because number one, it is e.l.f. Number two, they launch really high quality products. And of course, number three, they have been duping a lot of the higher end alternatives out there for a less expensive price. So again, like I said, I've tried most of their line. So I wanted to go through and share an updated version of the best and worst products from e.l.f. It was kind of hard to narrow this down. At first, I was like, should I review every single launch? But I thought this video would be a little bit too long. And there are some products that kind of fall in the middle. They're not great. They're not terrible. So you won't see too many of those in today's video. But I decided to split this into 4 different categories. So feel free to jump ahead using the chapter selection. You could slide right along that bottom bar or check the description box for timestamps. But I'll start with viral e.l.f. launches worth the money. These are the products that you're seeing all over social media, the products that sell out super quickly, that are getting a ton of hype, that I actually do think are worth trying if you need a new product in that category. Then I'll talk about some of my underrated favorites, products that people don't really talk about as much, that don't necessarily get as much love, but I think are still amazing options. The quality is so good. So products I still highly recommend. Then I'll share some of my staples under $5. Interestingly enough, there aren't a ton of e.l.f. launches under $5 anymore. Makeup as a whole is getting more expensive, and that definitely includes e.l.f. as well, but there are still some really great products that you can get for just a few dollars. And then I'll finish up with the products that I personally don't think are worth the money, the products I wouldn't really recommend trying. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like drugstore content, if you like hearing about all of the new e.l.f. launches, I film videos like that, so I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Okay, so like I said, let's kick it off with some of the viral makeup products that I truly think are worth the money. By the way, this video just mainly focuses on makeup. I love e.l.f. brushes, I love e.l.f. skincare, but I figured if I included those, that we'd be here forever. So I might do a separate video on those if you'd want to see that. But let's kick it off with some makeup favorites. So I have to start with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I'd really be interested in seeing the sales data for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter before and after e.l.f. launched this product, because I feel like e.l.f. took that product and actually made it better. Like I said earlier, they do a ton of dupe products, and this is one example of a dupe product that I actually think performs better than the higher end alternative. It is a little bit more of an expensive product from e.l.f. It is $14, one of their most expensive makeup products. And I know when it first came out, people maybe had a little bit of sticker shock at that price because e.l.f. was really well known for having products under $5. But I truly think this product is worth the price because it performs like a high-end or luxury product. It just sits on the skin better, whether you're using it as a base, as a primer, you're mixing it into foundation, or using it as a liquid highlighter. This is a very creamy product, so I feel like it just interacts well with different products you use it with. And even if you do use it directly on the skin, it looks beautiful because it blends out so nicely while still giving you a gorgeous glow. So I really think they did an amazing job on this formula. There are so many options like this on the market right now, but this still consistently remains one of my top favorites. So e.l.f. recently expanded the Halo Glow line. They added the Halo Glow Powder Filter. And again, this is one of e.l.f.'s most expensive products at $14. Everything else in today's video is lower than that $14 price point, but I was kind of surprised to see the price of this. I did get a little bit of a discount because I am part of the e.l.f. Beauty Squad. Anyone can join it. It's free, and you can accumulate points and then get like money off your order. So I think when I bought this, I actually got it for $10, and I assumed that's what the price was just because I wasn't paying attention. And when I looked on the website, I was like, $14. That just seems pretty high. I don't know everything that went into the pricing decision. Obviously, I'm assuming they thought they could get a little bit more because it is associated with the Halo Glow Liquid Filter. They say you can use them together. It's part of the same line. This is a really gorgeous formula. It's definitely unique. So to me, this is something that is worth trying if you like the idea of a glowy powder. It's not shimmery. It's not glittery. Like when I look up close, there's absolutely no shimmer in here, but it does leave the skin looking glowy in a very beautiful way. I would say the closest thing I've tried is maybe like an Hourglass finishing powder, but this is different because it's a little bit thicker. So I feel like it's extra smoothing. There's a little bit of coverage there. Online, they kind of market it in both ways. If you read the description, they say setting powder and finishing powder, like in a couple of different places. I think ideally this is going to be best used as a finishing powder unless you have either like dry skin or you like the idea of an all over glow. Because when I use this in the center of my face, face, it definitely adds a glow, but it also enhances large pores and texture. I've found that the best way to use it for me personally is to kind of set the outer perimeter of my face with this powder and with a large fluffy brush, because it just adds like a nice light layer. It gives my skin just like a touch of glow without being over the top. If you want a lot of glow, you could definitely pack this on in certain areas, but it's really just very interesting, really, really pretty. And I've enjoyed it a lot when I'm using like liquid and cream products, because it sets my makeup lightly, but it doesn't completely erase the glow a liquid or a cream is going to give you. So it's been fun to play with. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you like the idea of a glowy powder, then I think you might enjoy this. One of e.l.f.'s most viral launches has to be their Glow Reviver lip oils. It's funny because when I first tried these, I think I felt just kind of indifferent about them. I didn't love them, I didn't hate them, but they just weren't like one of my top favorite formulas. And then over the next year, I found myself reaching for them more and more. And at this point, I have to say, like, they are definitely in my top category or up there. I haven't done a ranking on lip oils in a little while, but they're absolutely up there as one of my favorite lip oil formulas. So they have the original line, the Glow Reviver line, which has absolutely no shimmer in it. Some have a little bit more pigment than others, but overall, they're very, very sheer on the lips. And then I think at the end of 2024, they actually launched the Glimmer finishes. And at first I was like, I'm not really interested in trying those because I've never been a big fan of a super glittery or shimmery lip color. These absolutely changed my mind. My favorite is Crystal Baller. I only have two, so I can't say for sure, but even between the two I have, Crystal Baller has more of like a true glittery look, and then Choco Luxe is more of like a micro fine shimmer. Crystal Baller just absolutely transforms my lip color every single time. So I have an e.l.f. lipstick on, and then I topped it with this, and it just makes it look so shiny, so beautiful. It's very thin, so it's not like a heavy, thick gloss, but it adds the perfect amount of shine. And because this has glitter in it, I feel like it just looks so, so pretty on the lips. So ever since trying this, I feel like I've been going through my collection trying to find any lip product that has glitter, and it's just been fun to wear them again. But they don't all look like this on the lips. Like some lip products or some glosses that have glitter in them, the glitter isn't quite as vibrant, but this really is. The big con is that they are minty smelling, and that might not actually be a con for you, but I just mentioned that in a recent video, and a ton of you guys were like, I'm so over mint scented lip products, and I am too. I'd rather like vanilla or a nice fruity scent. Some people really like the mint scent, and they do have a little bit of a cooling feel, not like a full-on cooling tingle, but you know, for me, I could do without the mint scent. So under the lip oil, I do have a lipstick from e.l.f. This is one of my favorite lipstick formulas of all time, if not my favorite. It's either between this, Makeup by Mario, or Merit. No, I would say it's probably between this and Makeup by Mario. As much as I love Merit, I like Makeup by Mario and e.l.f. a little bit better. These are so incredibly creamy, so smooth, so comfortable. It's just such a high quality formula. This truly feels like a luxury formula at a drugstore price point. And when e.l.f. initially launched these at $9, I know a lot of people were like, $9, that's so expensive for e.l.f. I think at the time they only had like $3 lipsticks, maybe $5 lipsticks. But I'm telling you, this formula is such an improvement from their previous formulas, and I actually liked those a lot. But I think some of their older formulas almost had like a little bit of a waxy or like plasticky feel on the lips, so they weren't quite as smooth. These are so smooth. They glide on the lips beautifully. They're creamy, comfortable, so rich, so long wearing. I really don't have any complaints about this formula. I know they've launched additional shades since I originally purchased some, so I kind of want to go online and see if there is like another nude that I would like to wear. I mainly wear like nudes or like lighter, softer colors, so my most worn shade is the shade No Doubt. I think I said I'm wearing the shade Dirty Talk on my lips under that e.l.f. lip oil. That's a great kind of soft pink, but No Doubt really is one of my go-to shades. When I do wear a bold color, I do love the shade No Regrets as well. I like a good red lipstick. I just don't wear it quite as much. But I'm telling you, if you are a fan of like a regular cream lipstick that's just smooth, creamy, effortless to apply, you really can't go wrong with these. Another great formula from e.l.f. that I truly think competes with higher end formulas would have to be their liquid blushes. Well, and their liquid bronzers and contours. So I'll kind of talk about these at the same time. These formulas are so stunning. They are creamy, they're smooth, they're effortless to work with. And I've tried quite a few liquid bronzers, liquid blushes at this point, and I don't typically love those style of products. I like blushes more than bronzers overall, but the issue for me is that a lot of them just lift my foundation underneath or they end up looking patchy. They're a little bit too dewy. Like there's always something that stops me from reaching for it as much as I would reach for a cream or a powder. I really love this formula from e.l.f. because I don't have any issues with it. I'm wearing a little bit of the blush in the shade Bold Faced Lilac today, although I do have a powder blush on top too. I always say this, but if you are someone who is intimidated by liquid products, try this formula. Not only is it less expensive than a lot of the other formulas out there, it truly is so effortless to use because it just blends out so beautifully. It's not such a wet formula that it's going to erase all of the product underneath. It has this glide to it that's really, really nice, and it sits on top of makeup so beautifully. So I've used these in quite a few videos. You guys know how I feel about them. Again, not normally the biggest fan of liquid bronzers, but these changed my mind because they truly blend out in 2 seconds. They wear really well throughout the day. And because they're so lightweight, they're perfect for easy natural makeup days because it doesn't feel like you're wearing a ton of product on the skin. They have a ton of shades to choose from in both the bronzer and the blush formulas, and I just think they're really fun, really, really gorgeous. So definitely worth the viral status they've achieved. I also have this product from e.l.f. on my eyes today. I actually have both of these shades. So this is the Finest Fleck Glitter Eyeshadow. So I have a little bit of Champagne Showers, and then I topped it with White Hot. The colorful shadows you're seeing are also from e.l.f. I'll talk about those in a second, but I definitely think these are nice. They went viral because a lot of people were comparing them to the Urban Decay Moondust shadows. I don't find them to be the same at all. These feel more like a traditional shadow, whereas the Moondust shadows have like that interesting texture. They're very lightweight, but they give you like that scattered glitter effect, whereas these feel a little bit heavier. They don't feel that much different than the formulas you'll find in like the actual e.l.f. palettes, but they are really nice if you want to add a pop of glitter to the eyes. I think they both look really pretty. They have more of a translucent base, but they still give you that glittery effect. So they're pretty, and I don't have any issues with fallout, which is kind of nice. So many glitter shadows end up falling all over my face throughout the day, and these stay in place really well. I haven't tried all of them, and I will say there is one in the line that I tried. It was like the purpley one. That one did not feel as nice. It was kind of dried out when I got it in the mail. So I don't know if the formula is consistent throughout, but I have to say these two perform really, really well. My favorite mascara they've done is definitely the Lash Extender. And it's funny because when I first tried this, I hated it. I filmed myself doing like a first impressions, and I didn't like it. And the issue was I tried to apply it like every other mascara. So I like applied a coat, let it dry a little bit, went in to apply another coat, and I couldn't. And it's because it's a tubing mascara. And that's not the case with all tubing mascaras, but definitely this one. The best way to apply this is just to go in with one coat. And if you're going to do a second coat, like do it immediately while your lashes are still wet. This gives your lashes a really beautiful lengthened, separated look. I don't find that I get a ton of volume with this mascara, but to me that's okay because I like to use this on more natural makeup days. So if I'm not wearing like a full coverage foundation, if I'm not really wearing eyeshadow, if I'm doing like my quick 5-minute makeup look, this is the one that I reach for because it's not an overly wet formula. It dries fast, it stays in place well, it gives me length, and then it removes easily at the end of the day because it is a tubing mascara. I also like the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. I don't actually have that right now because I'm working my way through like a ton of open mascaras. So I haven't repurchased that one in a little while, but if you like lifted curled lashes, that one's a great option. I feel like I get a little bit more volume with that one and not as much length, but it definitely lifts my lashes and holds them in place really, really well, which is kind of hard to do because I have pretty straight lashes. So I do like that one as well. I need to repurchase it eventually because it's been a little while since I've had it on rotation. I don't know what happens. Like I like so many formulas, so I feel like I always end up opening too many at the same time. And then I tell myself like, no, I have to make an effort to actually use a lot of these before I open a new one. But this one is always on hand because I love it so much. The last product in this category before I move on to underrated favorites would have to be the Power Grip Primer. Again, this is an example of e.l.f. taking a higher end product and making it better. I like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, but I like this even more. It's a little bit thicker, and if you don't like a sticky primer, this isn't going to be for you. But if you like the idea of a gripping primer that locks your makeup into place, this really does work. I'll use it in the winter. I'll use it in the summer on like a 90-degree day with super hot humidity. I'll use this product and it works so well. It's a little bit thicker, like I said, than the original Milk Makeup Hydro Grip, but it is so incredibly hydrating. And it's also just really smoothing. There aren't major differences between the original and the one that has niacinamide, but I swear when I use the one that has niacinamide, my skin looks extra smooth and extra glowy. Like if you were to look at me with these side by side, I don't know that you'd see a difference in my makeup. It's just that because I know how my makeup looks and sits on my face, I feel like that's why I can notice a difference. It'd probably be the same case if you wore them side by side too. So I don't think you need both. I usually just have both on hand because I'm always talking about them, always including them in videos. But if I had to choose, I'd go with the niacinamide one. Okay, moving on to some of my underrated favorites from e.l.f. Now, these are products that haven't necessarily gone viral. They're not getting as much hype for one reason or another, but I definitely think the quality is so good. And if you're looking to try something beyond the super overhyped viral products, I highly recommend checking these out if you haven't already. So one of my favorite products that e.l.f. has done would probably be their liquid shadows as a whole. At this point, they have like metallic ones, they have liquid glitter ones, but the one that does not get enough love would have to be this one. These are their duochrome liquid eyeshadows. These are so stunning. They launched them and then they either sold out or they discontinued them temporarily and then they brought them back. And I'm so glad they did because these are absolutely gorgeous on the eyes. These are so interesting. I'll swatch them for you so you can see what they look like, but they shift in the light depending on, the way that you're turning your head. They do look really nice as liquid shadows, but they're also really great as liquid liner, as an inner corner highlight. They're just kind of fun. There's something a little bit different. So if you're looking for something more unique than like a typical liquid metallic or liquid glitter, I highly recommend checking these out. They're also great if you take a little bit and just kind of like tap it on top of your completed eyeshadow look just to add like a pop of something different. This is kind of a boring product, so I kind of understand why this doesn't get as much hype, but it is a necessity for a lot of us, and it is eyeshadow primer. Back in the day, I used to use their eyeshadow primer all the time, and I don't know if they still have that original one, but they have the Lock It Down eyeshadow primer, and this is gorgeous. Not only does it actually lock your eyeshadow into place, it almost kind of transforms powder shadows and allows them to look extra smooth and a little bit creamy on the eyes. If you're someone who deals with a lot of texture on your eyes, I notice as I get older, my eyelids are a little bit more textured and eyeshadow doesn't always apply or sit in the same way. This might be a good option for you because it's kind of tacky, it's a little bit creamy. So when I apply eyeshadow on top, I feel like it creates a very smooth effect while also locking it into place well. It's really gorgeous, a really great option. Again, not the most exciting product, but a really high quality option from e.l.f. Honestly, I think e.l.f.'s lip glosses are pretty underrated as a whole. I think they have like 3, maybe 4 different formulas, and I know their lip oil gets a ton of hype, and some people use lip oil in place of lip gloss. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing today. But if you're a fan of like a true lip gloss formula, I highly recommend checking out their lip plumping glosses. Now, these have been around for a long time, but they recently, maybe not recently at this point, maybe like a year ago, ended up repackaging them and adding new shades to the line. And I picked one up and I absolutely love it. I always mean to buy more, but at the same time, I just don't really need a lot of new lip gloss at this point. This is in the shade Praline. It's so smooth, so even on the lips. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I really don't understand why these haven't gone viral. Again, maybe it's just because it's not like the trendiest product right now, although I feel like lip gloss is kind of a staple for a lot of people. But look how shiny that is. It is such a glossy gloss. And I feel like a lot of glosses these days are not as glossy as you would want them to be. And this one does not disappoint. It is so stunning. It actually stays in place pretty well. It has a little bit of like a tacky texture to it. It's not super thick, so it's not going to feel heavy or uncomfortable on the lips, but it does last really well. It kind of works to smooth out the lips. It's, marketed as a plumping gloss. I don't notice a big difference in terms of plumping, but I do think it gives your lips a really smooth appearance, which can also make them look fuller. I also love the e.l.f. Sun Boss glosses. I like these because they actually have sunscreen, so they're a great way to, reapply sunscreen on your lips throughout the day. I wore these a lot in the summertime when I was consistently outside, but I also just like the formula. Like even if that wasn't a factor, I think this is a nice, just very creamy, again, very shiny formula. Again, maybe a little bit stickier than some people would typically prefer, but you can see see how shiny they are. They just look so pretty on the lips. They're also really, really moisturizing while they're on and also once they wear off. So your lips feel super nourished, really conditioned, and I enjoy them a lot. But again, I think these are such a great choice if you're looking to reapply sunscreen throughout the day. I know there are lip balms that have sunscreen, clear lip products, but if you like a little bit of color, these are great. Okay, these next two products are definitely underrated. And I think it's because a lot of people love liquid cheek products, cream cheek products these days. So not as many people are reaching for powders, although powders are making their way back. And I know a lot of us have never really stopped using powder in the first place. But if you are a powder fan and you haven't tried the primer-infused blushes and bronzers yet, I highly recommend them if you need something new. These apply flawlessly. They are so smooth, incredibly creamy. They used to have these a long time ago, and then I think they discontinued them, or they had discontinued all but one shade, at least of the bronzer, and then they came out with new shades and really expanded the line. Same thing with the blush. I've had this exact one since, I guess it just relaunched like last year. So maybe for about a year at this point, but I use this multiple times a week and I still haven't hit pan on it. There's something about this formula where you don't need a ton of it. It's just very creamy, very beautiful on the skin. It blends out in 2 seconds. So you can like dip your brush in, apply it to your cheek, and you're good to go. So many bronzers are patchy, they're muddy, they're uneven, and this formula really isn't. I have a little bit of this blush on my cheeks today. It's the shade Always Rosy, just like a really, really small amount, kind of like in this area up, because it is pretty richly pigmented. But if you are a fan of matte formulas, or you're kind of getting back into mattes after being away from them for a long time, such a good formula to start with because it looks even and smooth every single time. Okay, a product that I could not find this morning, I don't know where it is. I might have pulled it for a different video and then not put it back, but I always have it on hand. I've had it on hand for years and years, is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Loose Setting Powder. So before they had the Halo Glow liquid filter, before they had the pressed version of the powder, they actually had the loose setting powder, and it is one of their most beautiful formulas. I know a lot of you like this product, and whenever I use it, like a ton of you are like, yes, this product is so underrated, it's so good. It is so soft, incredibly just like finely milled. It really just like sits on the skin. It's so airy. Like it's one of the lightest, softest powders out there. And I have tried so many powders at this point. Like I have a ton of loose setting powders in my collection, and drugstore or high end, like that is the softest, most beautiful powder ever. Now it doesn't always lock my makeup into place in the most ideal way because it is such a light powder, but it is great on days where I don't necessarily want a super matte look. It's really nice as a finishing powder. It's just very, very pretty. I wasn't sure which category to put this in because I guess when it first launched, it did get like a little bit of buzz, but I don't think this is taken off in the way that they quite expected that it would. It's the Soft Glam Satin Foundation. I know there are some people who don't really love this product, a lot of people who do. It gets some mixed reviews, but I really do think it is just such a beautiful complexion product. It is somewhat similar to their Flawless Finish Foundation, and I think I've seen some videos where people have compared the ingredients of this foundation to that one, and they don't differ too much, but I do find that this formula looks better on my skin than the original one. It's very light, very natural. It gives my skin a beautiful, like true satin finish. So it's not too dewy, it's not too matte. It really is like my perfect everyday foundation. I've used this in quite a few videos in like the beginning of 2025 because it's really been my go-to lately. And ever since they launched it, like I have used this product very consistently. It's the perfect medium coverage, so it's not too heavy, but it actually covers what you want it to cover. It's not so light that you put it on and you're like, now I have to go in with a bunch of concealer to conceal redness and dark spots. Like it does lightly cover everything and it stays in place well throughout the day. So I don't know. I don't know if this is technically like an underrated product. Because it's a little bit newer and it did get a lot of buzz in the beginning, I feel like you might have tried it, you might have heard of it, but if you thought about it and you haven't tried it yet, it's an $8 foundation that really does perform so well. Finishing up this category with 2 more complexion products. I actually don't have the Flawless Brightening Concealer right now. I did end up decluttering that one when I did my end of the year declutter. It's not my favorite concealer right now at this point, but I still think it is a gorgeous formula. If you like a very light, very natural concealer, that is the one to try. It gives your under eyes like a very brightened effect. It's not going to provide a lot of coverage, so if you have really dark under eye circles or a lot of redness, you might want to either skip it or go in with a corrector first. But if you're someone who just needs like a light touch of coverage and you don't want anything too intense, that is a really beautiful formula. Very lightweight, super comfortable. I know some people have compared it to, what is it? There's like a concealer from YSL that I've heard people say it's very similar to, and that's a $6 option. I said this before, but I want e.l.f. to come out with a new concealer. I'm not in love with their Camo concealer at this point. I feel like that one's a little bit too heavy for me. And then the Flawless Brightening Concealer is a little bit too light. Like I need a nice in between. It obviously, you know, there are other options out there, but in terms of e.l.f., I've liked both of those formulas at different times. It's just right now I want something that kind of falls in the middle. Last product, I'll just touch on this because I have talked about it like easily 50 times on my channel, the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer, but it is so underrated. Back in the day, their putty primers were incredibly popular. I don't hear people talking about them as much these days because I feel like that type of primer isn't quite as trendy. I still think those are great, but this one is easier to apply because it's a true liquid. So you can blend it into the skin in 2 seconds. It smooths out your skin. It leaves it matte. It is such a beautiful formula. If you have oily skin, a lot of texture, large pores, I highly recommend trying this. You can target very specific areas like the center of your face, or you can use it all over your face for a true smooth finish. So whenever I talk about e.l.f. on my channel, and I talk about e.l.f. kind of a lot, some of my most viewed videos right now are my short form videos on e.l.f., which I usually post like under my YouTube Shorts tab. So inevitably, like as I open up my comments every day, I usually get a comment saying like, oh, e.l.f. is so expensive these days, or like I miss when e.l.f. had products that were $1 or $3, and I totally get it. I do think with the higher prices e.l.f. charges these days, they have improved the quality. There are some more interesting products. They have some more innovative formulas. So I do understand the price increase, but if you're someone who's just looking for like truly affordable makeup, seeing a $14 powder from e.l.f. does probably feel very shocking. So anyway, in today's video, I wanted to do a section on my favorite products under $5. As I was going through e.l.f.'s website, there really are not a ton of products under $5. While they still have some great affordable options, most of them are like $6, $7, $8, and there are only a few that are still under that $5 price point. I mean, I really only have a couple here, but these are truly staples of mine, like products that I really do incorporate into my daily makeup routine, and they are only a few dollars. So let me share them with you. So on my eyes today, I do have one of the bite-sized palettes. This one is in Berry Bad. It is such a pretty palette. I'm actually wearing every single color except for this shade right here, but the rest of them are on my eyes, and then I did top the look with those Finest Fleck glitter shadows. These are so good, and they're still $3, or are they $4 now? No, they're still $3, at least on e.l.f.'s website. I actually repurchase the I Love You a Latte palette fairly often. I have another one that's open, or that I'm using right now, that has pan on 3 of the shadows. This is like my most used palette of all time. I'll either use one of the 2 center shades as a crease color or a transition shade, the lightest shade as a highlight, or the darkest shade as liner. I love it. It's just such an easy formula to work with. The mattes are very, very blendable, a little powdery, but honestly, I can deal with it because they blend out in 2 seconds. They're so easy to work with. And then the shimmers in here are just very smooth, really creamy. I love these. These have been around forever, and I feel like they're kind of overlooked at this point because they're not like a new exciting launch. e.l.f. is kind of doing like newer 10-pan palettes. At least they have been recently, but if you haven't tried the bite-sized palettes, they're really, really good. Like even in 2025, there are so many amazing formulas out there. These are still some of my most used palettes. So they're great, they're affordable, definitely some of my daily staples. So e.l.f. used to have an entire line of these sheer slick lipsticks, and they got rid of all the shades except for Black Cherry. I've heard some people say this is a dupe for Clinique's Black Cherry. It has been years since I've tried that. Like easily 15 years. No, that can't be right. Like it's probably been at least 10 years since I've tried that. I don't know. I tried that a million years ago. I think it was either when I was first getting into makeup or I don't know, whatever the case. That product has been popular for a very, very long time. And at this point, I think there are a ton of alternatives to it. I can't say for sure if this is a dupe because it's been so long since I've tried it, but this is a very pretty product. I like the texture of this. It's like a lightweight, sheer, glossy lipstick, super comfortable, and I had the whole line. It was one of my favorite formulas back in the day, and then they slowly discontinued all of them, but this one is still available. So if you like the idea of like that black honey color, just like a nice kind of cooler toned berry that's soft and natural on the lips, I still think this is a great option, and hopefully they'll end up launching additional shades in the future, but I don't know. There's a reason why they discontinued them and just kept this one around. Okay, I know not everyone loves this formula, but the Cream Glide lip liners are one of my favorites. These are $2 lip liners. It's probably e.l.f.'s most affordable makeup product at this point, and these are great if you like a creamy, smooth lip liner. They're not going to stay in place as well as other formulas I've tried. They're not, like, they don't fully dry down and lock in, which for a lot of people, like, that's what they look for in a lip liner, and there are definitely days where, like, that's what I want too. But if I don't necessarily care about my lip product lasting for hours and hours, and I just want something to kind of define the lips that feels really comfortable, that glides on quickly, this is what I reach for. They're really smooth. I actually end up using these as like all over lip colors because they are so comfortable. And then I might top them with like a little bit of the e.l.f. lip oil. But I love the shades they've created. I like that they are so comfortable, just very, very easy to work with. So again, for me, these are a daily staple. I do love the e.l.f. Squeeze Me lip balms. These are $4 lip balms. Lip balm prices are getting out of control, and I have my fair share of high-end lip balms. I love brands like Summer Fridays and Ulla Henriksen, but you don't have to spend that amount of money. These are great. They're $4. They're super comfortable. They smell good. They leave your lips feeling moisturized. They're not like the glossiest lip balms I've ever tried, but I feel like they're nice and they do a good job, and they're under $5. The e.l.f. Camo color correctors. I know there are more expensive color correctors out there. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a color corrector. I use the blue one the most. I'll mix it in with foundations that are a little bit too warm, and it just works to cool them down, to neutralize them a little bit. They have a green one, they have a light peach one, but this formula is great. It's very creamy, so when I mix it in with the foundation, I feel like it just improves the quality of the foundation while also adjusting the formula to be, in this case, a little bit more neutral leaning than full on warm. But you can totally use these directly on the skin if you have dark under eye circles and a little bit of a deeper skin tone. This could be a great option. If you have a lighter skin tone and like blue and purple under your eyes, they do have a softer peach shade. So these are great. Again, high-end alternatives exist, but I really think this $4 option from e.l.f. is perfect. And the last product in this category for me is the Wow Brow Gel. I've been talking about this on my channel for years and years. It's still a great option. It is a fiber-infused brow gel, so it gives your brows a thick, full appearance. It's not as strong, or the hold isn't as strong as like the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel, which is my favorite. And these days I do like a little bit of a stronger hold, but on days where I want like a fluffy, maybe just more natural look, this is a great option. Okay, let's finish up with the e.l.f. products that I personally do not think are worth the money. I won't say that there are tons and tons of them. Like I said in the beginning of the video, or I think I said, there are a lot of products that kind of fall in the middle. So they're not amazing. They don't fall into like my top recommendations, but they're also not the worst products I've ever tried. They're just good, or they're just okay. But there are a few products that I personally don't think are worth the money, and I probably wouldn't recommend trying if you are shopping on e.l.f.'s website or you're looking to try something new. The first one would be their CC cream. Now, I haven't tried this in a really long time. I tried it years and years ago, and I will say when they first launched it, I did like it, but my makeup preferences have changed a lot. I think it's partly that my makeup preferences have changed, but also the fact that there are just so many other alternatives out there at this point that perform better. So because of that, I feel like this product is just not something that I would personally recommend any longer, especially for $15. $15 feels very expensive for this. I did originally think the Halo Glow Liquid Filter was their most expensive makeup product, but this is even more. So a lot of people compared this to the It Cosmetics CC cream when it first launched. I actually really like the It Cosmetics CC creams. I recommend those all the time to people in my life who are asking me for a product, especially a lot of people that have more mature skin. I swear I've gotten gotten so many people hooked on that product, again, in my real life. I don't currently have any of those on hand in my makeup collection, so you don't see them pop up in my YouTube videos too much, just because, again, I do prefer some other formulas for me personally. But I think the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream is definitely thicker than the IT Cosmetics formula. It's not as smoothing or forgiving on the skin. I do find that it's pretty long lasting for what it is, but it's just like a little bit too heavy feeling, a little bit too heavy looking. And I think that you can get a very similar effect with other products out there. Again, it has been a few years since I've tried it, but I don't think my opinion on that product would change, just because like the one thing that I absolutely cannot stand with complexion products these days are products that feel heavy on my skin. Like I don't want to feel my foundation on my skin throughout the day. And I do think that's how I felt about that product in the past. So I really would recommend this product over that one. I don't think the coverage with this product is as good, but you could go in and spot conceal any areas where you need a little bit of extra coverage. And this is just so much more comfortable in the end. I kind of touched on this product earlier when I was sharing how much I love the e.l.f. Camo liquid blushes and bronzers. But before that, e.l.f. had launched the Halo Glow liquid blushes, highlighters, and then they had a contour line as well. That's when everyone was doing like wand style packaging. And I do find their liquid camo line to be a lot easier to use overall. I also like the packaging a little bit better, but there was something about those liquid blushes and liquid highlighters that were just not flattering on my skin. They almost added too much of a metallic glow, and that's why I like the Camo liquid blushes so much. Even though they look like they have shimmer in them, I feel like they don't really appear that way on the skin. And if they do, it's not like a metallic sheen. It's very natural. But the Halo Glow liquid blushes had a ton of shimmer in them, and it just wasn't flattering on my skin at all. I feel like the tones didn't look good, the colors were a little bit off, and the amount of shimmer in them just wasn't something that I loved on me. I also felt like the formulas were just patchy overall. Like they didn't give the same smooth blend that the Camo liquid blushes and liquid bronzers do. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these two formulas in 2025. Do you prefer the Halo Glow cheek products or the liquid Camo cheek products? If you've tried both at this point, like has your opinion changed on the Halo Glow ones now that you've tried the Camo ones, or do you still enjoy them? Do you like that style of packaging? I'm just curious to know, because I feel like out of, the two liquid products, I definitely have my preference, but I know a lot of people really liked the Halo Glow ones when they initially launched. So I'm just curious to know if you still like them in 2025. The last two products are slightly newer launches. I was so excited to try the e.l.f. Microfine Brow Pen, and it was such a fail. It didn't work well for me. I don't know if it was a packaging issue or if the product really is meant to be that subtle. I know they market it as like more of a natural brow pen, but every single time I went to use that and draw it on my brows, I really couldn't get the product to show up very well. It didn't matter if I stored it upside down, if I like sat there and shook the product before I applied it. It just was a little bit too subtle for me personally. If you like a very, very, very natural brow, then maybe you would like that product, but I feel like you can still kind of achieve that with the Milani brow pen, the NYX brow pen, but those last so much longer. My NYX brow pen will last for months and months, and I'd rather just spend the money on that and skip over the e.l.f. one, which feels like it's running out, like as soon as you apply it to the brows. Last product I saved for the very end because I have been hating on this product so much, so if you're sick of hearing about it, you can always close out of the video, but the e.l.f. Power Grip Matte Primer was such a fail for me. I wanted to like that product. I tried it so many times over and over, but it didn't perform how I expected it to. It's a sticky matte primer, which really sounds so contradictory when you think of it, or when you think of matte primers. Usually they're very smoothing. So the idea of like a gripping matte primer sounded really nice, but I feel like there's a reason why they just don't exist. It did slightly mattify the skin, but my skin was also left feeling sticky. So my foundation most of the time, my foundation would go on unevenly and then it would wear off unevenly. It wouldn't give me like that smoothed out effect. A gripping hydrating primer just makes so much more sense to me, because if it's sticky, I feel like it can't fully dry down to a complete matte finish. And usually when you want a matte finish, you tend to prefer something smoothing as well. And that really didn't have any smoothing properties. My skin didn't it didn't look like my skin was smoothed out when I used it. So such a fail for me. I wanted to like it. I really gave it a fair shot, but I just don't recommend trying that one. So those are all of my favorite and least favorite products from e.l.f. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, I didn't include any brushes or skincare just because there were so many products to talk about, but I know the last time I did this video, I did have brushes, and I think I had skincare too. So I'll link that video in the description box and on the screen in case you want to check it out. If you like hearing about e.l.f., I would love for you to subscribe. I do a ton of e.l.f. content on my channel and over on Instagram and TikTok too. So I would love to have you over there. But thanks for watching. I'll see you very soon with a new one. Bye.